perfect day for me as an artist. Wow, that's a good question. So, I mean, I suppose my work is always a seesaw, like schizophrenic. On the one hand, in the lonely seclusion of the writing room, you know, completely alone, yeah, where, you know, you find this focus and concentration to dig down and to draw out the memories and the to connect with the ideas and to create a free channel for these to come out in giving form. So that, and it has to be very private, secluded, no noise, no email, no phone, none of that stuff, you know. But the opposite is in the rehearsal room, working with other artists, performers, directors, choreographer, lighting and sound people, this kind of thing, and the camaraderie, the community of creating the work, and that is incredibly creative and feeds your energy as well as an artist, and all these ideas come which you could never have created on your own as a result of collaboration. So I think there's something, the perfect day would include privacy, solitude, and collaborative work, and my family as well. The opportunity to be out somewhere beautiful in the countryside with my family, with no work or stress or the, you know, agenda of making money, answering emails, dealing with all that stuff, you know. Get the kids in the car, my wife, drive and get out of the city into the countryside, go to the beach, go to the seaside, walking in the mountains, swimming in the lakes, you know, and playing together. And that for me is a really important, it's a very important nourishment for my creativity. And if I miss that, if I'm away from that for too long, then it's like a plant needs water, you know. Yes, that is a brilliant observation. Absolutely brilliant. You must be a mind reader, I think, because when I was 12 years old, my father took me to see Waiting for Godot at the Roundhouse Theatre in London, and it was these two incredible old clowns performing the Vladimir and Estragon. The late, great Max Wall. Max Wall, wow. One of the great clowns of the 20th century. And Trevor Peacock, who's still alive. And in fact, he's one of my closest friends in London, is his niece. So Trevor Peacock is her uncle. And these two guys were masters of the detail and mischief of physical comedy. And as a 12-year-old boy, to be really, really close and to see these two old guys with these pouchy, craggy faces and these battered hats and dirty, you know, ripped clothes, doing this really crazy play, Waiting for Godot, and so much of it is about absurdity, physical comedy, and repetition of words and lines. You keep repeating something until it doesn't mean anything anymore, you know. And it was magic for me. It was enchanting, you know, because, of course, a lot of, let's say, the deep philosophical dimensions of the play probably straight over my head as a 12-year-old. But this sense of magic, of being drawn into the enchantment of of circus clowning comedy, and these two old guys who were real legend figures in the vaudeville comedy, rough music hall kind of, scene, was an amazing inspiration. And so, as you say, to premiere the play in Dublin, home of Samuel Beckett, was completing a circle in a way. Max Wall, who was one of these guys, he had a comic character, Dr. somebody, or I can't remember the name, but with like this big white forehead like this, and mad hair like that, and skinny black trousers, and massive shoes. And he used to walk around with his bum sticking out, like this, and this expression of slightly outraged incomprehension, on his face, and look, and this kind of, and white gloves, and it was just crazy, and that was almost like a template for Scaramouche Jones. So you'll see in the performance when Scaramouche first appears, coming out of the circus ring with the white face, the long black trousers, huge shoes, white gloves, there's a homage, there to Max Wall. Yeah. I think if you take the audience into a place of fun, playfulness, silliness, mischief, anything is possible. Because you don't, it's obvious. You're in a circus tent. There's no big Hollywood special effects and massive, CGI and cameras and lights and, millions of actors and all this stuff. It's this funny old man in this battered old circus tent. And his words and his body, a few sound effects, some lighting, and he's playing. Imagine with me, come with me on this journey, and I will tell you a story. And there's something very liberating about that style of childish, playful, physical storytelling. And we see this in some of the great mime artists of the last 100 years, Marcel Marceau or someone like this, where there's nothing there. Literally, it's an empty space and one guy and his white face, and suddenly you see him blown by this wind and he's trying to walk against the, and you see it completely, you see it. Everything which he is depicting, you believe it, you're there with him. And so the play starts with a massive fart. Yeah. So the first, it's like darkness, and in the darkness the first sound you hear is like that. And the audience laughs, and then the spotlight comes up and you see the clown in the spotlight, like this. Who farted? It's kind of, was it me? Was it you? It's that. So immediately you're taken into this realm of vulgarity and silliness. And I think it can be liberating for the audience, because, we've paid our money, we've come to the theatre, we're dressed up nicely. What's it going to be? It's all this expectation. It's all important theatre festival. This guy coming over from the UK. It's all very important, and we have to, show that we appreciate it and we understand it. And actually, I hope in the first few minutes of the play, we can establish an atmosphere which is free, liberating, fun, and it gives the imagination the freedom to play. Yeah, I mean, Scaramuccia is one of the archetypal figures of the Commedia dell'arte. Scaramuccia, the little skirmisher. In English, skirmish, is like always fighting, always battling, and so Scaramuccia is like always struggling with impossible challenges of fate, but it never gives up. Yeah. I think you learn as an actor how to play a piece of text because you are changed by the text and by the audience. And over the years of performing Scaramouche Jones, I've been changed by the story, by the words, and by the audience. And I think that I've more and more let go of control and allow myself, I hope, to be more free, vocally, physically, emotionally, to allow the story to play me, you know. Magical storytelling. If you asked me at the age of 8 what was I going to be when I grew up, I would have said a writer. You know, we had this game that we played on holiday when we were on holidays as a family, where my brother and I would make up stories, and my dad would transcribe the stories and illustrate them. And so, magical storytelling, I mean, Tolkien, The Lord of the Rings, you know, all of this, a huge influence. Mythology, I studied Latin and Greek literature all the way through school and university, and so the Greek myths, Roman myths, the Trojan War, the Theban plays, Iliad and the Odyssey, you know, all of that stuff is there as a huge influence.